The month of November is Infant Safe Sleep Awareness Month. This is a topic that is so important to talk about all months of the year, but we're highlighting it tonight. And I'm joined by Colleen Nelson, the Infant Safe Sleep Program Coordinator with the State Health Department. Colleen, thanks so much for being here with us to talk about this topic. Let's start off very basic. Why is it so important to always be cognizant of safe sleep practices?
It's just important that families are aware of the safe sleep guidelines and what steps that they can take to make sure that their infant is sleeping as safely as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this may come to us as a surprise to some parents potentially of just how often there are injuries or sleep-related deaths, unfortunately, including here in the state of Michigan. Can you talk on that a little bit?
On average, a sleep-related infant death occurs about every 2 to 3 days in the state of Michigan, and on average about 146 per year.
Yeah, and those are some really difficult statistics to hear and to grasp for parents. We don't want to place too much fear on the topic, but when it comes to making sure that none of those horrible things impact your family, what do parents need to be keeping in mind? I know you guys kind of go by the ABCs of safe sleep.
Yeah, so really what we recommend, and it's actually based on the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendations for a safe sleep environment. But so the A stands for alone. So, having babies sleep in their own sleep space. And then B stands for back. So having them sleep on their back. And then C is for crib or, really that own sleep space. So approved sleep spaces would be a crib, bassinet, or a pack and play. And then making sure that has a firm mattress with a tightly fitted sheet.
Yeah, and I mean, I've certainly heard of people potentially co-sleeping, having, adults sleeping in the bed with a small child or a baby. Obviously, that goes against that advice that you just recommended. For parents who might be doing that or, have heard about that practice, which obviously is kind of a stark contrast here, what's your advice to them on, following these guidelines?
Well, really, another recommendation is room sharing instead of bed sharing. So having baby sleep space near the parent's bed can help make those nighttime feedings easier and getting up with baby in the night, and then easily being able to put baby back into their own sleep space as opposed to bringing baby into their bed where there could be suffocation hazards in that adult bed.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as kind of, I guess, age range that we're talking about here, obviously guidelines change as a, child grows out of that infant stage, toddler, child beyond there. When are we really needing to follow, those ABCs that you mentioned?
The ABCs of safe sleep really apply to infants, so children under age 1.
Under age 1. Gotcha. Any other information just on this topic? I know you guys were putting out a lot of different tips for families to consider when it comes to infants and their sleeping setup. But any other big tips or pieces of information for families to grasp from this?
I think just making sure they understand the guidelines and we kind of frame them as the ABCs as they're maybe simple to do, but sometimes they can be hard to implement, especially when a parent's exhausted and is caring for a newborn. So really, as much as possible, bringing in any supports that you have, family or friends that can kind of come help so the parent can get even a few hours of sleep so they're not so tired when they're caring for their baby. And then certainly if a family needs other resources, hooking them up with supports in their community, home visiting programs, or if they don't have access to a sleep environment, a lot of local areas actually have access to pack and plays that they can provide families of need. And all that information can be found on our website.
Okay, Colleen, anything else to mention just on this topic before I let you go?
No, just our website, michigan.gov/safe sleep, has the guidelines and lots of resources for families and where to find supports in your local area.
Okay, perfect. Colleen, thank you so much for your time on this topic. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.